Hi, welcome to Quantum Projects, where I do my best to validate your fear of living in a simulation. Just kidding. Unless, of course, you're a satellite. Today we're diving into the latest and greatest evolution of my physics sim project, Mk3. But before I get into the nitty-gritty, make sure you've checked out Sim Mark 1 and 2 for some context. Now, let me tell you, Sim Mark 3 represents not just an advancement, but a significant leap forward. It's packed with features that make it not just cool, but actually useful in some industry scenarios. So then, let's unpack what makes Sim Mark 3 special. While its predecessors, Mark 1 and 2, relied on Euler's method for numerical integration, Sim Mark 3 kicks it up a notch with the Runge-Kutta fourth-order method. Translation: this simulation is much more accurate. If you're curious about the intricacies, check out my deep dive into numerical integration. Now, I chose to develop my own integrator rather than relying on MATLAB's ODE45 or the Python equivalent, SciPy's RK45. I did this for two main reasons. Firstly, clearly, I have a genuine interest in numerical integration, but secondly, I prefer the stepwise approach to allow for more flexibility in adjusting simulation conditions as needed. The step function for Sim Mark 3 is very easy to use. All you need to do is provide a dt for your time step, and then you can also provide inertial forces, body fixed forces, inertial torques, or body fixed torques. Like I said, these can be changed on the fly. So if you put the step command into a while loop, you can just put whatever you want in there and it will propagate that step. So for example, if you wish to add a force halfway through running the simulation, you can do that by just getting a user input and putting the stepping inside of a while loop. Unlike its predecessors, Sim Mark 3 handles rigid bodies properly. None of that point mass approximation nonsense. This methodology centers on propagating angular velocity using Euler's equations and determining position or velocity based on Newton's second law. Additionally, instead of constructing the inertial to body direction cosine matrix, or DCM, using Euler angles, it's directly propagated with Poisson's kinematic equations. This avoids the orientation singularities present in Sim Mark 2. Euler angles haven't been removed, however, as they are still useful in certain scenarios. The difference is, in Sim Mark 3, they're outputs of the DCM, not inputs. If there is a singularity, it doesn't affect the physics. The Euler angles assume a body to 313 sequence. This is a common representation in the spacecraft world due to its conceptual association, with the angles corresponding to precession, nutation, and spin respectively. Now, as you've already seen, the graphics are very different from Sim Mark 2. Out with the old cursed VPython and in with a sleek custom setup powered by orthographic projection. Sure, Pygame might be limited to 2D graphics, but with a clever projection matrix, we're bringing 3D to the table. Crisp, clean, and a touch of dark mode elegance. Additionally, this GUI boasts an inertially fixed coordinate system with a rectangular prism scaled based on the user's inertia characteristics, and the option to toggle state information. In my humble opinion, this looks pretty clean, but I am super into this kind of art style. Now, let's see Sim Mark 3 in action. Ever heard of a T-handle? As you can see, just like this video from NASA, spinning an object about its intermediate axis yields unstable behavior, but in a pretty interesting way. Bet you didn't know that spinning anything about its intermediate principal axis could be this mesmerizing. But with Sim Mark 3, we're not just spinning bricks. We're unraveling the secrets of rotational dynamics. Okay, maybe that's a bit much. We are just kind of spinning bricks. Other classical results are also observed with rods and disks. Observe that the axisymmetric angular velocity remains constant as expected. Also, observe that the rod precesses in the spin direction, while the disk does the opposite. Another classically observed result. These demos haven't illustrated all of the functionality. Like I said, you can put inertial or body fixed forces, which will of course impact the position and velocity. If you wanted to, you could even code your own drag model and then propagate something through an atmosphere. Then of course you'd be very interested in the velocity and position. But in these demos, I think it's just kind of cooler to look at it spin, because I think seeing an orthographically projected prism spin is just kind of neat looking. Now, I've got some big plans for Sim Mark 3. In the future, I plan on implementing several orbital dynamics related features, such as gravity torques and various perturbation models. Alongside this, I'd like to implement a suitable GUI, like the one presented here, but more tailored for orbital motion. I'd also like to use this existing framework to implement some sort of attitude control example. However, with school picking up for finals, this is about all I had time for. But if you'd like to give the code a try, I've linked the GitHub below. Thanks for watching. See you later.